Call meeting to order. Please rise for a pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let the roll call reflect that all board members are present with the exception of Director Molnar. 4.0 student rep information. Hello.
All right. Our science teacher, Mr. Strasser, has put together intramurals type thing in the morning on Tuesday mornings. You can really go in and play whatever sport that you'd like. So that's been going on for 3 weeks. Only one person has showed up all of the times. Hopefully tomorrow we're going to get a lot more kids because it really is fun. On October 30th, our school has offered financial aid help to any student who might need it in the gym, and that's going to be at 5 o'clock. And then Mr. Pillsbury, our counselor, said today that's probably going to go until around 8, so if you have something going on and you can't make it right away, they're going to be there for a while. Our yearbook is finally getting their stuff together. It's looking really nice. The seniors are kind of slacking on getting their quotes and their pictures in, but their parents have really stepped up and giving us baby pictures and cute little notes, so that's really cute. I'm going to bug you one last time about the fall play that we have this week. It's going to be on Thursday and Friday at 7 o'clock. The name of the play is Salvation Road. And basically, there's a girl named Denise, and she goes off to college, and she's going to be this big lawyer. And then she meets this guy, and he says, "Come join my fellowship." And she says, "Okay." And then things get tangled with his personal life and what he's actually preaching. And then her brother goes out and says, "We need to bring her back. Like, this isn't, we want her home." So it's a really good show. We've worked really hard on it, and we would like you to come see it. There is a performance on Saturday, whether or not the boys win their football game tomorrow at Royalton. So we're rooting for them, and we're also rooting for them. Also, this week we were told that scholarships are going to start coming in. Scholarships usually don't start coming in around this time. They're still kind of waiting, and most of them come in March till the end of May. So we're just kind of, all the seniors are kind of watching, ready to grab them. And this week, seniors can apply to any state college for free. They can just give their application. So a lot of us seniors are going to be doing a lot of that. So we're going to be very busy this week. But for our sports, we have a swim meet at Mesabi East, against Mesabi East. We have a football game tomorrow in Royalton. We have a cross-country sections meet in Cloquet on Thursday. And we have a quad swim meet at Eveleth. And there's going to be Chisholm, Virginia, I think Hibbing, and that will also be on Thursday. Thank you.
And a volleyball playoff game Wednesday.
A volleyball playoff game. Yes.
In Proctor.
In Proctor.
5.0 agenda additions and deletions.
Madam Chair, I have
Thank
two.
you, Bailey.
I have two of them there. They should be in front of you. One of them would be consent agenda C, and that's adjusting football salaries for the people that moved after Coach Molnar was called to active duty. And the other one would become 12.3, and that's setting mileage for our contracted van and bus routes. We do have a contract with them that the board passed last year, but every year we have to, based on gas prices, we change you can see the changes there. Normally this is something that our business manager would do, but Linda reminded me that it needed to get done, so that's all we have.
Okay. 6.0 visitor input.
I don't have any.
7.0 approve the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve it with the two additional changes.
I'll second it.
Motion by Sather, support by Addy. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 8.0, approve the treasurer's report for the second check writing of October.
Well, for the second check writing of October, we had disbursements of $208,821.02. And that's it.
All right. We need a motion. I will make the motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Lotiger, support by Addy. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. 9.0 consent agenda. A, approve the minutes of the regular meeting of Monday, October 8th, 2018. B, approve the lane change for Todd Ufford. And C, adjust football salaries, correct? Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Support.
Motion by Sather, support by Gentilini. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 10.0, we have nothing removed. 11.0 personnel. 11.1, approve the school readiness teacher assignment of Julie Lindeman.
Madam Chair, must have been about a month ago, it was right after school started, we reported that we had more school readiness kids than we had teachers. So the board agreed to add a fourth section. We finally got someone to apply, Julie Lindeman. I know that you want to add anything to that, because you were the one that did it.
She comes to us just by way of Michigan, and we're just waiting her licensure approval.
Okay.
So that's why it says pending background check and licensing.
Okay, do we have a motion?
I'll move.
Support.
Motion by Peterson, support by Sather. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 12.0 new business. 12.1 proposal on uninterruptible power supplies.
Madam Chair, I invited Jason Ness, our network administrator, tonight to give the board a little talk on UPS. I know he's been bugging me for the better part of half a year when we did the closet upgrades, because it's obviously, if you looked at it, it's not a number to sneeze at. And I was trying to avoid it, but we've had so many short power outages and brownouts, and this start of the school year, it's caused a lot of havoc in those closets. So I invited him here to make a sales pitch to you.
Good evening, everybody.
Aye.
So yeah, I proposed to get 25 UPSs, uninterruptible power supplies is quite a mouthful to say. These would go into each of our switch closets and our main server rooms at both campuses to provide, as spec'd out, about 10 minutes of runtime in the case of a brownout or power outage. Now, it's terribly expensive to keep much more than 10 minutes of runtime, but 10 minutes is about standard in my experience. With the increasing amounts of brownouts, and then even last week, Monday, we had our 20-minute power outage, there's a lot of cleanup time after these that a battery backup that would keep these systems running throughout these power dips and brownouts would avoid. Just last Monday, there was a couple of complications that ended up costing me about 5.5 hours of work just to recover and get back to where we were before the power went out at 11:30 in the morning. We've got some old consumer level UPSs that have been protecting our main equipment, not in any of the independent switch closets out in the each floor of each building that feeds those areas, but in our main server rooms. Those have been reaching or have reached end of life. The batteries are starting to fail on those, and we're getting warnings to replace the batteries. And they are just the consumer level in the first place. These pro level UPSs also come with environmental monitoring and reporting, which would help me keep tabs on how humidity, heat, etc. are in all of our server rooms so that we can have a faster response in case there's some issues other than power outage. I sought a few quotes over towards the end of August, and SHI is the cheapest quote to come back. For the 25 access points, not counting 25 Ethernet cables that would be needed, but those are cheap, $2 a piece. So the 25 UPSs, they're quoted back at just shy of $16,000. Going at the APC website, that's the brand and company I'm most familiar with, I had added up to about $19,390. So this quote coming from this vendor is a lot better than I first anticipated, but as Mr. Carey said, it's a big number to sneeze at. Do you have any questions of me about how these UPSs work?
Nothing to sneeze at. That's what it was.
So which one are you recommending?
I've got a quote of, I've tried to pick the cheapest option for each switch closet that would run up to about 10 minutes. Now, some of our closets have multiple switches because they have more endpoints to feed. As we get more and more devices that run over power over Ethernet, which means they don't have an AC plug that plugs into a wall, they get their power through the data cord, then having those uninterrupted as well, we're just going to have an increasing demand. For instance, the new security system was installed with battery backups of their own, but that's only just to make sure that those doors can fob in and out in the case of a power outage. As we get the new interior door locks that I know have been talked about, and other IP-based devices, like if we ever get any wall clocks that are IP-based, or any other sort of displays that are IP-based, those are mostly going to run off for PoE as well, power over Ethernet. So any power outage, these battery backups, these UPSs would keep those running too.
Well, which there's a Computine, there's a...
Oh, SHI came back as the cheapest.
Is that the first one
Yeah,
here?
this one here.
This is 19,390.
That was my estimate based off of the APC website and their costs. Maybe you don't have a copy of the SHI quote?
I'm not
I'm
seeing.
not seeing. I
don't
see
think
a
I got
total estimated cost on the second page.
Right,
That's
of
his.
19,390. That's
Yeah.
what I'm looking at.
If I recall, the SHI quote came back a little bit later than the other quote, so maybe it didn't get...
Because this
Included in the
CDWG
package.
says 18,873.28. I was just trying to understand what the differences are before we...
Yeah, no, the
Actually, it
SHI
may-
quote did come back as surprisingly cheaper compared to the other quotes.
Okay.
So this is, this is yours, these 3 pages of your proposal, and then these 2 things are the quotes, and you say there's a third quote?
Yeah, Mr.
Okay.
Carey will make photocopies. Yeah.
Just making sure that we got everything right.
And in that proposal, I try to provide the best information as far as estimated install time, which Mr. Brosen and I can handle. We would do things after the last class, so there'll be minimal interruptions.
As a matter of conversation, the power went out in Gilbert half a dozen times
Thank
in
you.
one day, a week or so ago, and my business is computer intensive too, and half the day we were just shot getting computers back and going, and
Yeah.
some were screwed up, and he did.
Now, this won't help individual computers. The
Oh.
teachers have laptops, so they have their own built-in batteries.
Right.
But they do lose the network connection because the switches that feed them the network will go down in a power outage.
I'm just saying, it wreaks
Yeah.
havoc on computer.
On systems.
Oh, so this SCI is 5982.25, does that ring a bell to you then?
Yeah, that's what I've got, yeah.
That
I spoke with the new account rep, and they're still honoring this price from August as of last week, so.
That's all I
May I
have.
answer any other questions?
What kind of warranty on something like this?
Outside of probably a standard 1 year, and I'd have to double check on that. I don't know if they would offer or sell extended support. There's a note on the bottom of the SHI that APC as a company has 0 return policies. I don't know how much of a risk that is. The APC is one of the top companies when it comes to power. Trip Light, APC are the 2 brand names that I'm most familiar with.
I would assume if they were done on arrival, they would replace those, right?
There's probably a manufacturer warranty that would. cover that. I'd have to double check that to be sure.
And basically, you'll be installing this equipment in January?
Yeah, it'd be pretty easy to install. The rack mount ones, just slide in and screw into the racks like any other equipment. And then there'd be a small downtime when we'd have to actually move the power cables over. And like I said, Tom and I can take care of that after hours. So I was very generous with my estimate as far as install time, because there's going to be some configuring to get the alerts and the environmental monitoring set up as well. But just to get them in and provide surge protection and power backup is real quick and easy to do, so.
Maybe your labor cost is already kind of figured in your salary anyway, right? So, I mean, this is more so the cost of
Yeah,
the
yeah, I
equipment
didn't,
at this stage of it.
yeah, the dollar amounts are just for the hardware here.
Right.
Okay, well, thank you for your consideration.
Thanks, Jay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
So I did put possible action on there, so if this is something the board would be interested in entertaining, you could make a motion to do that, or if you want to take some time to think about that, that's fine as well.
Do we have anything, do you have an idea of where this money would be coming from within our budget?
Out of our savings account.
Okay.
I mean, if I please, Chair, I would make a motion to move forward with at least discussion if we wanted to do that.
Okay.
Motion to accept the CHI quote,
SHI.
or SHI, I'm sorry, for $15,982.25 for discussion at the very least.
I'll second.
Okay. Motion to approve
Yes.
SHI quote by Peterson, support by Chad. Any discussion?
I would just start to say that. I mean, I completely agree this, with all the power interruptions we've had lately. I mean, it's wreaked havoc on my little business, and I can imagine what it's done to the school with servers and all the infrastructure we have. And that's not, I mean, not even to mention, like, I mean, we have, 800, 1,000 kids in our buildings that, I mean, if our servers go down, their servers don't take a little bit longer to warm up than just a computer does too, so I could see that it's value added.
Basically, they'll be installing this equipment after hours. Will we be giving them compensation time then, Jeff, for this, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any further discussion? Any other questions?
I mean, I guess my point too is, I'm assuming when our children do have instances where they use the network for their laptop work, for their iPad work.
Most of the student iPad is, their curriculums and stuff are hosted on online services, but without power to the wireless access points, they wouldn't be able to access that.
I mean, that would be my concern too, is, I mean, it is impacting education too if we have issues with that.
May I add one more thing that I forgot to mention? And part of that proposal, there is a mention of 2 network switches that we've had faults with power failures, not necessarily related to the outages or brownouts, but more power spikes and surges. Those were replaced by our vendor under a warranty. It's not something that, I got the feeling that was more of a favor to us than, it wouldn't be something that a manufacturer warranty would cover. It'd be something end-user damage, so to speak. So this would protect from the power surges too. Those switches, if we were to lose another and had to buy it outright, is about $3,500.
Okay. Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 12.2, approve the 2017-2019 Director of Maintenance and Transportation contract.
Madam Chair, the negotiating team is recommending that we finalize the contract for the Director of Maintenance and Transportation. Salary is $63,000 in year 1 and $65,000 in year 2. All of the benefits would remain the same. There's no increase in benefits. This just a salary change.
Okay. We need a motion.
I'll move.
I will support. Motion by Peterson, support by Lotiger. Any discussion?
Is this the final draft? No, it's not going to be like the coach's handbook, or they get another draft of this contract?
That should
No?
be it.
This is the final, though.
And it's been gone over with the individual in the position.
Yep.
Jeff, who's the negotiating team that negotiated this contract?
Tom, Brandy, and Mike.
Oh. Okay, and then, yeah, but what's the position pay right now?
Real quick.
I believe it was like
I think it's
2 or
60.
3. 2 or 3% was basically, it was just a modest increase, wasn't it, without any... I mean, just for his point, I mean, these are the same numbers that we've always talked about when we met as boards with all this. I remember we had a committee meeting. We talked about these salaries once, well, many times.
Was it 61,000 before?
Yeah.
Any further discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 12.3, set the mileage for the contracted bus routes.
Yeah, this would be Brown Transportation and this and this. Brown does all of our van routes. We're looking for $1.88 per mile. Last year we were at $1.85. $3.37 on the bus. We were at $3.35 last year. So overall, it's going to be about an increase of $300, which the vast majority of that's actually on van routes that are reimbursed by special ed, or $2,700 for the school year. So it really isn't a huge jump, considering that gas has gone up considerably from last year.
Need a motion?
Make a motion to approve the new mileage compensation for the contracted van and bus routes.
I'll second.
Motion by Sather, support by Addy. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. 13.0, administrative report and information.
All right. So enrollment is the same as the last time we met, 885 and 85. Actually, that pre-K number will jump a little bit with the addition of the other teacher. Just wanted to bring up the policy thing again. Last time we talked, you guys were going to bring home that binder of policies.
I need one, because I wasn't at the last meeting.
I'll get you one.
Thank you.
I have one. You want a committee meeting? You want a board meeting of the whole? Just want me to start putting some on agendas that have very slight changes and we'll deal with the harder ones in committee, or lots of options there?
I mean, as a suggestion, I mean, a lot of them are just MSBA housekeeping things, right? I mean, is that something that...
You don't have to change them if you don't want.
No,
I mean,
but it's nice to keep things parallel if they're kind of mundane changes, is my opinion, I guess. But if there's something substantial in preview, if somebody has an issue with whatever, I mean, maybe we could suggest to talk about it, but otherwise, I mean, maybe we could just bring it to a regular meeting and say these are MSBA, these are the difference, let's move forward, other than, it could be that simple, right?
I agree with Mike, I still have the last few to look through, but the initial ones were, yes, I mean, it was just basic updating of some terminology changes that have changed in the law, and so I would be fine with just being able to at least bring them to a regular meeting to get approved, and then if there's something that needs to get pulled out, to form the separate committee for the
Yeah, they could be tabled too,
policy.
to your point, right? I mean, but,
I think that there probably are some general ones that we can probably just talk about at a regular board meeting, but there are some that probably require a little more discussion, and some that we don't have, that MSBA recommends, that I would like to
Yeah, we talked
get
about-
updated and
we talked about that as
have
well.
those.
The binder that I gave out was just the ones that we currently have. and
Okay.
recommended updates. But there are some up there that maybe want to.
So maybe for these ones that are more general,
housekeeping ones per se.
yeah, we can have a discussion at a regular board meeting. But if there's any coming up that people want to update that might require a little bit more, like I said, there's some that we don't have that we should have, then we'll have a study session prior to a meeting on those. I'm good with that.
How are we coming with the steam leak, Jeff?
We're getting there, but anyone else in the policy? They started digging last Friday, I believe.
Okay.
You can see the parking lot, it's all ripped up now. To my knowledge, when I left here, after the buses left today, they hadn't actually found it yet. But they're, so they're going 180 feet to the joint up by the old bus garage. But they're going to take that in sections, so they're going to try to keep the heat on somewhat while this is going on. So they're just going to do it in sections. So they got, I don't know, I think they got about 50, 60 feet ripped up now. They'll replace that and then go to the next one. They're anticipating maybe by the end of the week or early next week they'll be done. with
Oh, okay.
At least looking
So
up.
they'll actually be replacing 180 feet of the pipe that, up to that joint, correct? Yeah.
It's just about to the fire hydrant though, on, is it Fail Avenue? I think?
Have we made any headway on the plumber B or plumber A's position now?
We did
Position?
an internal shift on the plumber A. We have not got a plumber B yet. No applicants.
So it's still on a contract basically with the,
Oh, yeah, the guy that
with
took the license.
he
yeah.
comes in and checks with the boilers, okay.
Yep. All
All
right.
right, moving forward.
I want to talk a little bit about collaboration tonight. So there's a joint task force meeting on this Wednesday at 6 in the Virginia High School auditorium. There was some confusion about that. Initially, we were going to do it here, and then something inside me said we got to play the next night, so that's probably not going to work. So we are going to go over to Virginia at 6. And I just want to talk a little bit about basically what that is there'll be reps from the chairs from each of the 5 committees are going to come and give updates on what they've been doing that night. And we're going to see if we can actually get that recorded so we can put it out there as well. So we've had a lot of comments that people like to come, but they can't because of the time and whatnot. So.
Was it 6 o'clock in the auditorium or?
So a little bit about what you're going to hear. So facilities-wise, they've met at least 4 or 5 times. I gave you one of the last PowerPoints. It looks like this came out of the facilities when they started looking at different options. So they started talking about, how much square footage they're going to need based on potential enrollments. And you can, if you flip through there, you can see those costs and the potential enrollment that we're looking at about 210 students a grade. Budgeting new construction, there's a sheet on that, why we came up with 210 square feet, that kind of thing. And then start looking at some of the options with some of the costs attached to it. And these are, when you see these costs on there, they're very inflated numbers, just so that we don't want to say that we can build a new 9 through 12 for 20 million and then come back a couple months later and say, whoops, it was 60. That kind of thing. So they're using very general numbers at this time, just to give people a ballpark figure as to what they're looking at. And you can see the 912 is, they're roughly estimating at about 55, 56 million. A 712 at about 79 million, and then a K12 at 155. And those numbers aren't, I want to stress to everybody, because I've heard a few comments that no decisions have been made. They're just looking at these things, and they gave them these figures for a ballpark, so they kind of know, you know, their eyes are at least open to these things aren't cheap. So then one of the goals in the last two meetings was to narrow down some options. You can see that there's, in the last 3 pages, that there's a number of combinations that folks have looked at, including 2 new buildings on a site, a 5.8 and a 912, 1 new 912 with the ability to expand the 7.8, 1 all-new K-12 campus, the new 9 through 12, and asking MIB to join, which we did. A new 712, new 4 through 6 in a 712 intermediate school. A lot of that kind of thing didn't have a lot of traction in it. Neither did the K through 12. Most of the people on the committee were more interested in having elementaries in the communities rather than put them in a neutral site. The option of 612 actually, which isn't on this page, came to the surface that night. Basically, the thought behind it was a couple different things. I mean, one, with staffing, you do have staff that, like a math teacher, they do 7 and 8, and we would hate to have them traveling if they were like here or in Virginia. The continuity between those grades, I mean, they're still interested in having a 6 through 8 that was separate from the main building. They didn't want them integrated into like the 9 through 12, but they wanted them on the same site at least. There are some project, I mean, the 9 through 12, I mean, we are talking about project-based learning, and they could, you know, a lot of that could float down into the 7, 6, 7, and 8 as well. So those are kind of some of the things that they were looking at. The 6 through 12, in all honesty, has been the most popular that they've talked about, and then the following meeting they started talking about elementary possibilities with that, because the reality is, regardless of what that, whether it's in Virginia, Virginia, Gilbert, or Eveleth, there's some work that needs to be done to all of those buildings, and as long as we're at it, the group figured that this would be a good time to address those needs as well, rather than try to float another bond a couple of years down the road. So they are looking at big numbers. I mean, their eyes are wide. But the Finance Committee, next, is looking at how to deal with that. So they've met 3 or 4 times as well.
Can I just say something, interrupt for a second? I just want to make a point that the facilities co-chair stepped down from his position because of the actions of a board member. I think it's important to note that in this discussion.
Who are the players? I mean, we're all public people here, or do you not want to name a name?
Well,
I mean, I respect that if you don't. I mean, I don't know the situation, I was just wondering.
whether the person was acting as a citizen or not, I feel that we are always wearing that school board hat. And the fact that the person went to the co-chair of the facilities committee, went to their place of employment to have this discussion was out of line.
I see, I get it. Thanks.
Yep.
Anything else?
Nope.
So moving on to finance, they've met 3 or 4 times now, and they've spent a lot of time with background information going through, well, Kelly's on that, you've been to a few of them. I mean, they've going through a lot of background information about how schools finance projects like this. I included a lot of the information that those folks have been getting here, so you can take a peek at that. I also included, Spencer came in to one of the meetings and kind of ran through School Finance 101 for the folks there. And you can kind of go through that and see what he shared with the group. And it's basically how we get our money and where we're at financially. And you can see some history there. It was very well done. He did a nice job with that. And the last time that they met, last week, they started diving into potential bond runs if they were to pass a $100,000 run or $100 million, $150 million, how much that may be passed on to the taxpayers given different scenarios. Obviously, the IRRB with the school collaboration account is a major factor in this whole thing because, to be honest with you, I mean, if they're not interested in this project, we can't afford a $150 million bond under it.
Can I ask, are the legislators pretty involved in this conversation at this stage, or was it still I mean, they know what's going on, right?
They know what's going on.
Okay.
They know we're coming to ask for something. They just don't know what it is yet. Either do we.
Okay, that's fair.
So yeah, communications outreach, they've been working on, and I haven't been to too many of those, but they've been, and Brandy can add if she so chooses. They visited all the sites now, gone through. They're working on, they visited with Todd Rapp, who is a communications expert in the state, and talked about how to run a successful communications committee. They started a weekly newsletter. They have a press release that's going to come out after the Wednesday, so they're going to start doing their work here pretty soon.
And that's basically about it. We've talked about different ways to reach the community, whether it's through the different newspapers, Hometown Focus, those kinds of things. But also talked about doing videos that we can have on Facebook or other social media type sites to just give factual information about what this could look like, and having students, if that's possible, to have students also talk about their feelings towards this opportunity. So a lot of things are on the table right now. We're kind of waiting to hear on Wednesday what all the other committees have been up to and have been deciding. Like I said, we need factual information to get out to people, so we need that update.
Hey Jeff, we had discussed about having the dates and all that stuff of all when these meetings are coming up, because we're all busy this time of year, and having, when the facilities committee is going to meet, when the finance committee is going to meet, what time, and getting a list of, getting a list of when these meetings are going to go on.
Yeah.
Because
the unfortunate thing is they haven't been, they go to, they'll go Wednesday and they'll decide, when do we meet next week, that kind of thing. But I will start sending that stuff out.
And then do we know who the chairs are of these of these committees?
Yeah.
Okay.
Facilities is Chad Bugger, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or why am I asking you? I'm there. Finance is Tony Jeffries and John Hull. And communications is Darlene.
Mm-hmm. Darlene Johnson. And there is one other person, I think her name might be Stacy.
And the transportation is, I can't think of the gentleman from Virginia, but Mike Hogue is the Eveleth side. And the site selection, I don't know that they have chairs yet. They may, but I had a different meeting to go to that. And I'll get on to that. So they met last Monday for the first time after the facilities committee started talking about new facilities. The site selection committee came to be. And they started basically by some introductory things, I believe. Is anyone there? You guys there?
I think I was there. Was it Monday?
It was Monday.
Yeah, I had to leave at 6 o'clock. But I was there.
Polly? You have anything to add? I wasn't there, so I don't. Anything to add?
We have a chair, I don't remember the young man's name. And they had a list of potential ones, but then they threw some more possibilities into the mix at the end before.
Okay. So yeah, that's that.
Okay.
I know that, well, I should put the Transportation Committee has met a few times too. They, through that grant, with the IRRB, we hired someone to come up to work with VersaTrans. Virginia has VersaTrans, but they don't use it. We have VersaTrans and use it. But we didn't necessarily know how we could create a separate site with new bus routes and not mess up our own. So we had somebody from VersaTrans come up and go through that. So they are actually working on that. It'll depend on, obviously, the site selection. All right, moving on. So you have a little thing in front of you. It's a color copy called School Perceptions. This is the company that Virginia used when they did their survey last fall. We did ours by ourselves. They did School Perceptions. So this proposal in front of you, and I'm not asking for anything tonight other than you take it home and noodle it over at this point. But it's basically, if you look on the last page there, they would meet with us to determine, what types of things we would want to ask. They do the survey design, they actually administer it, and then they bring it back in and do a report back to the board. You can see the cost on all those. And that's for both districts, it's not just one. And that would probably fit into that grant as well. So. But I just wanted to show that to you because your counterparts north are looking at it as we speak. So. All right, a little bit about what's going on here. So it was Fire Prevention Week last week. I don't have the lights turned on, so you can't see it real well. But I just, there's a few pictures. One day, and it was not the greatest week to be outside, traveling down to the fire hall, but you can see the kids are kind of bundled up there. It was raining one day and then snowing the next day. So half the kids walked down there in the rain and half of them walked down there in the snow. But really like to thank the Eveleth Fire Department for that day in particular. All of our kids at Franklin went down there. But I know in the preceding days, the Gilbert Fire Department and Field Fire Department did lots of cool things as well. For instance, Phil and Eveleth drove, they had a coloring contest, a fire safety coloring contest, and the winners got a ride to school, as they do every year. It was pretty neat. They came in, the Eveleth department came in and did fire equipment demos. They let the kids hold on to the hose. They showed them all the equipment, and it was really cool. So again, thanks to those three departments. I know Gilbert did over, and I'm probably stealing your thunder, and maybe I'll just be quiet, but I know they did a lot of work with the ECFE program and the 5 and 6 as well, so really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Huh?
Next, sorry.
I still got Mr. Ed's farm. Second grade went to Mr. Ed's farm, and it was another chilly fall day there, but we all had a good time as everyone enjoys Mr. Ed's farm. So. Go ahead, Donnie.
All right. I just realized every one of the pictures I'm posting has me in it today. So anyway, our sixth graders made the cut a couple weeks ago around respect. Congratulations to them, Terry Kreis, Logan Matson, Danielle Redwine. I got to cut my tie off one day, so it was kind of fun. And then going on, last week we had a make the cut with 7th grade in the auditorium. Just made a Facebook post with these photos on it as well and talked to all the parents. Everybody seems to be happy and positive feedback around make the cut, so we're going to obviously continue that. 8th grade is this week, and that's all I have. Thank you.
And for the senior high, we had our turnabout on Saturday, October 13th, and it was put on by our Minnesota Honor Society, which I was just up in the auditorium. We have inducted 18 new members. Actually, it's 19 because one of them was absent today. So we have a lot of new members in our Minnesota Honor Society. And so this is a couple pictures from turnabout. And then our counselor, Mr. Pillsbury, went on 2 field trips in the month of October. This one, they went to the Civic Center right in Eveleth here. It's a program called Construct Tomorrow, and the students learn about the careers in the building and construction trades. And then he also took a group of students to Mesabi Community College, the technical college across the street, and they did 20-minute sessions on all of these programs that they offer there, the program, carpentry, LPNs, certified nursing assistants, paramedics, millwrights, welding technology, graphic design, and then they also learned about how much like the average medium income is. And so the myth that you have to have a 4-year degree to earn a good wage is not true. You can go and get a 2-year, or some of these programs are only a 1-year program. Mr. Pillsbury said there were 2 students in the carpentry program that graduated from here 2 years ago, and they only had to go to school for 1 year, and they're making more than he is as a counselor. So don't sell short the 2-year programs. And then this weekend, Thursday, October 25th, and Friday the 26th, we have our play, The Salvation Road. It's at 7 o'clock here in the auditorium, and then Saturday it's at 1, with general admission $6 for adults and $4 for students. So I hope that everybody can come and support our drama program.
The last thing, we had to cancel MSBA strategic planning. Reschedule that for November 7th at 5. And I'll make sure that, did you send a message, note on that? Right, so she sent one already. This thing. That's all I have, Madam Chair. Thank you.
All right. If that's it, we need a motion to adjourn.
I will move.
I will second. Meeting adjourned.
Date on that.